Amen. Next on the agenda, we have the acceptance of the minutes of May 11th, 2020. Dr. Bill,
Recommend they be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Price, a second.
Second.
Dr. Foster. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? The motion carries. Next, we have the hearing of delegations and communications. If there's anyone here who's not already on the agenda and would like to address the board, now's the time for you to do so. Hearing none, Dr. Bill, communications.
I've got quite a long list of communications. First of all, I want to start out by asking everyone to keep the Lewis family in your prayers. Congressman Lewis passed away this weekend, and he's certainly a great friend of Pike County Schools. It's always enjoyable to have an opportunity to sit down and visit with him. He had such a humble man and very soft-spoken, particularly for somebody with his stature. So we'd ask you to keep them in prayer. He, of course, has lots of family in Pike County. I do want to mention that Santesia Youngblood, one of our teachers from up at Banks, was a finalist for Teacher of the Year. Congratulations to her. We appreciate her hard work. You have in your packet a letter from the State Department advising that our special ed program has met all IDEA requirements this year, so that's a good thing. So congratulations to Dr. Head and our special ed faculty. Also in your packet is a notification or an opportunity registration forms to nominate school board members for all state school board recognition. That's in the packet, so if you're interested in doing that, nominating someone, we can certainly help facilitate that. There's information in the packet concerning the School Board Governance Act and whole board training, which I think has been waived for this year. And also want to let you know that AASB has also waived the fee for our liability insurance coverage for another year. I think that's the second year in a row they've been able to do that. Sales tax revenues year to date, we're negative about $89,000, which Jennifer could be a lot worse. And so it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either, considering the turmoil in the economy. I think the rubber's going to meet the road at the state level, though, when we start seeing these income tax receipts. Also ask that you, if you look at those printouts, that you take the time to look at the SSUT tax and how it has grown. Something's going to have to be done with that. Every time somebody purchases something online, that's local sales tax revenues that the schools do not get. And so, when that first started, it didn't make up a very large percent of the revenues, but now it's having a much, much greater impact on schools, not only in Pike County, but across the state. So that's something we certainly want to keep our eye on. In your packet also, there's an AASB notice concerning a virtual meeting related to K-12 cybersecurity. If you're interested in that, please let us know. I did want to mention that the First National Bank and the Troy Bank and Trust merger has been completed. Troy Bank and Trust has committed to continue the support for the Business and Finance Academy in Brundage. So we look forward to our relationship with them, and they will actually be picking up have agreed to pick up all the advertising on our calendars and posters and all those kinds of things, which we appreciate. We mentioned this in a conference call that we had recently, but I did want to give you a copy of the CARES Act budget. And last year and this year's Advancement in Technology Funds budget, and you now have those. If you have any questions related to that, please let us know. We did file a claim for the COVID with our insurance carrier, just as a long shot, hoping that we might have some coverage that would offset some of the costs that we've had related to cleaning and printing, and particularly cleaning, and unfortunately that was denied, which I was not really surprised. I do want to update you, as of last Friday, we're still looking forward to having the partnership we're going to have with Healthcare Solutions Incorporated out of New York. And Dr. Carter, you want to say anything real quick about them, and what that partnership will look like?
Yes, that partnership will give us 4 counselors in our buildings. So 4 of our schools will be covered by them, but all of our schools will have coverage in terms of the mental health profession. They are just waiting to post those positions, and we're waiting on them, and so we're excited about that.
Right, and they will be at Pike County High, Pike County Elementary, Goshen High, Goshen Elementary. The East Central Mental Health school-based program that is currently at Goshen Elementary will be moving to Banks, which will give us full coverage across all of our schools with East Central Mental Health, our mental health coverage, counselors that specifically will be there to do mental health programs. And East Central Mental Health is going to continue to provide the therapeutic services, including to their clients that are already in the system, plus any referrals that may come about as a result of our the grant, and that's a 5-year grant.
Yes.
So, we are currently working on a COVID leave policy, something that we're going to have to do, that we have to do as we move into the school year. How do you deal with an employee who may be absent due to COVID? And so we'll get that probably at the next meeting. We have also applied for a mental health coordinator grant. This is something new from the state, and that if we get that grant, it'll give us another body to help maybe coordinate some of this stuff. We're not sure, Dr. Head, I'm not sure exactly what language you put in that, but
that's exactly what I did, and a coordinator with this new effort.
so we're hoping that the fact that we have a grant from the group out of New York to provide 4 people for 5 years will help us get this other grant. Let me say this about last year, ending last school year. All of our kids last year, they went to spring break and never came back. And it was just, I know it was a shock for them. It was certainly a shock for us. And so we were faced with, okay, how do we close out the school year? I want to thank all of our people, principals, teachers, central office staff, on doing a great job in wrapping up the end of the school year. It was not ideal. Graduations were not exactly like we wanted them to be, and I know there was great disappointment in many circles, but we did do the best that we could to make it as meaningful as possible. And so we wrapped up the school year, and it's been a pretty quiet summer. There's been a lot of work going on trying to gear up for this next year. We did have some summer school going this summer for our high school kids, and then we also had our literacy summer school going this summer. So with the kids that graduated, we did our graduates, we did billboards, the digital billboards, we did the yard signs, and we did the graduation videos, which are things that we have not done in the past, but we did this year, and now we're going to probably have to do them every year. But we did that to try to make it as special as we could. Stephanie, has the graduation videos?
Yes, sir, and we posted those on the school website, and Troy Cable did a great job on both videos, and it looks really cool, especially like at Goshen when they're doing the alma mater. They had groups of 10, and like they sing a verse with one group, and then it swaps, and the next group, the next verse has the next 10 graduates. So it's pretty. They did a really good job.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's something the kids will provided to the kids at their charge. We went ahead and picked up that cost, so. I think that's all that I have.
There's a meeting about, did you mention that one?
Yeah. Meet your district directors, District 3, Tuesday, September 8th. Is that a virtual?
Or the ninth, yeah. I hope so.
Oh, that's on the cybersecurity.
Oh,
That's,
okay, okay.
it's got your picture on
Yeah,
it.
it's a fall meeting, but they're going to be. I don't want to clear it out on the back of that paper.
Okay, anyway. If you're interested in meeting your district director, they're on the that's all I have. That's all I have right for now. I'm going to say more about school opening later in the agenda, but so that's all I have for right now.
Next, we have the adoption of the agenda, Dr. Bill.
Recommended be approved with 3 additional items.
You've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion? Mr. Green, a second.
Second.
Ms. Steve. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carries. No unfinished business. Under new business, item A, approved financial statement and bank reconciliations for the month of May and June of 2020, Dr. Zill.
Recommended be approved.
You've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks, a second. Reverend Green. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item B, approved payment of payrolls for the month of May and June of 2020 and account run dates for May, June, and July. Dr. Zell,
Recommended be approved.
you've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion? Dr. Foster, a second.
Second.
Mrs. Steve, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item C, presentation by the Alabama Department of Examiners of Public Accounts of the FY 2019 audited financial statements.
Okay, yeah, I'm here to present the audit report for the audit period October 2018 through September 2019. We had an unmodified opinion on the board's financial statements, which means they present fairly and everything was okay. And for this year, we did a federal audit, and we audited the Title I grants program and the supporting effective instruction state grants. And both of those had unmodified opinions, which mean everything was presented fairly. We did have one finding and a comment included in the report, and I'm going to read the comment first. During the audit period, the board noticed problems with disbursement documentation processed by a bookkeeper at the board. After an investigation by the chief school financial officer and subsequent additional audit testing, a total of $27,056.82 was found to be spent on unallowable items or was inadequately documented. The bookkeeper resigned from the board on August 7, 2019, and was indicted by a Pike County grand jury on February 26, 2020. According to the district attorney of the 12th Judicial Circuit, the former bookkeeper entered a plea of guilty to charges of theft of property first degree on May 18, 2020, and a motion was filed to collect restitution from the former bookkeeper. And then the finding that is included in the report has to do with that also. And the finding is an adequate system of internal controls requires segregation of duties between the ability to make purchases and the ability to process payments for purchases. When segregation of duties is not in place, mitigating factors such as effective management oversight of these processes should occur. In addition, the Pike County Board of Education's policy manual requires a purchase order and a vendor invoice as supporting documentation for disbursements. The chief school financial officer discovered an issue with disbursements processed by a bookkeeper employed by the board and requested invoices directly from the vendor. Upon being questioned by the CSFO and the superintendent about irregularities involving the invoices, the bookkeeper resigned from her position on August 7, 2019. The concerns of the board were brought to our attention, and after testing, the following discrepancies were noted. And we looked at from June 2015 through July 2019. Disbursements totaling $20,308.66 were not supported by vendor invoices. The invoices were subsequently obtained by the CSFO from the vendors and indicated unallowable items were purchased. The items listed on the purchase orders as prepared by the bookkeeper did not agree with items purchased on the invoices. The unallowable purchases appear to be of a personal nature, such as groceries, cigarettes, household items, furniture, lawn equipment, pet supplies, clothing, and medicine. Purchases totaling $467.34 did not have appropriate approval and resulted in unallowable disbursements. No documentation or inadequate documentation was maintained to support disbursements totaling $6,280.82. An adequate segregation of duties between the ability to make purchases and the ability to process payments for purchases was not in place. This was not mitigated by other factors. The former bookkeeper did not always include adequate supporting documentation for disbursements. As a result, unallowable, unauthorized, and undocumented disbursements totaling $27,056.82 were made. And the recommendation was that the board should implement an adequate system of internal control which incorporates proper segregation of duties and adequate supervisory reviews to prevent unallowable disbursements and provide appropriate supporting documentation.
Okay. Questions? Questions? Okay. I think we've resolved the issues that led to that in terms of segregation of duties. And when you have a small shop and a limited number of people, it's hard to make sure that we have systems in place to cross-check, and that's, something that we needed to do and we have done to address this particular issue. So I think we've got it solved. Bad news is that it happened in the first place. The good news, though, is that we fixed it, and even better news is that this was insurable, loss was insurable, and we expect full, with the exception of the, what's it called, Jennifer? With the exception of the deductible, which I think is $500, we will recover all that was lost. We expect you to check back for everything that was lost except that $500. So, anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Next, we have on item B, update on school opening plan, Dr. Bill.
Okay. 3 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, we published a document that outlined for parents and for everyone what we thought the 3 options were going to be for instruction for next year. And we put that out through social media. We also ran it in the newspaper, just kind of as a starting point to keep parents informed of what our thinking was as we progressed through the summer. One option was traditional instruction. The other option was a traditional instruction with that included a blended piece. And the third option would be totally and completely online. And I know that if you go to probably 50% of the school systems in the state have already probably published their plan. But the truth of the matter is we haven't gotten a real big hurry for a variety of reasons. One, I was gone for a while, and two, we were hoping that we would get some more guidance from above on how to proceed. other than the CARES Act money, don't get me wrong, we appreciate it very much. We do have a CDC document. That helps some. And we do have the state superintendent's roadmap for reopening. And, you know, and I know they worked hard and did a very good job on putting things out there, but, you know, the truth of the matter is, this is going, how we do this depends on us, because every situation is different. It's going to be left up to the board, the superintendents, the principals, and the central office staff to make this work. It is going to be real easy to open school. It's going to be real hard to keep it open. That's going to be the challenge. We are down to really two options right now. One is going to, and so what we're going to propose is to open school with one of two options. And again, this is today. 2 weeks from now, we may just say, well, we got to go completely virtual. But today, there are two options. One option will be to have kids come to school with us taking steps to do the very best we can to ensure the safety of kids. And then we begin on August 12th when we bring teachers back to start providing professional development opportunities for them on the new educational platforms that are available to us, so that they can include a blended component as part of the traditional instruction. The reason that we're going to insist that the traditional kids that come back start to get experience in the blended piece, which would include at least one time a week online, where they come online to visit with the teacher face to face. And how many assignments, Dr. Carter? 2 assignments each week. So face to face one time a week, assignments twice a week when school starts. That's the goal, that's the target for right now. Ultimately, we'd like to get to 80% traditional, 20% online as our tradition, as our model going forward. That's not going to happen in the first 9 weeks. We're going to work towards that. What we want to do is to get as close as we can to the point that if we have to go full virtual, that our teachers will know the platform and our kids will be familiar with it, and we just swap over. That is one option. The other option is the virtual option. Completely virtual from the get-go. So parents who are listening, your choice is one of two things. One, you want your kids to come to school every day. We're going to do everything we can to make them as safe as possible. And I'm going to go through a one-pager that we're going to publish beginning tomorrow. Or you want your kids to be virtual from day one. If your kids are virtual from day one, they will not come to school. They will get their instruction online from a Pike County teacher. The other requirement with that is that if you choose the online option, you will be online for the whole first term. You can't go back and forth. You can't say, well, I want to do virtual and get 2 weeks into it and say, well, I want to go to school, or you can't go to school and say, well, all of a sudden I want to go virtual. You have to make that choice. And I think the deadline we're going to put is July 29th. So you've got about a week and a day to look at this one pager and make a decision. So virtual, you're at home receiving instruction full-time from a Pike County teacher. Option one. Option two is come to school. We're going to do the very best we can to keep your kids safe. And there's going to be a blended online piece with that to help get those kids ready should we have to go to 100% online. That's the two options. I want to go over the one-pager with everyone so parents, you know, what parents want to know is, well, what are you going to do to keep my kids as safe as you can? And that's what this is supposed to help parents decide. Do I want to go virtual or do I want to go online? So if you got a copy of this, look at this with me. Okay, school safety guidelines for reopening, options for instruction, traditional blended. That is for parents who select this option. Your child will return to school and receive instruction from classroom teachers. This is the at-school option. The minimum safety considerations for at-school students. These are the things that we're going to have in place when school starts to help kids to be as safe as we possibly can. Not only the kids, but faculty and staff. Minimum safety considerations for at-school students. We're going to do daily wellness screening, including temperature checks and health questions. We already have members of the, we also already have people from Troy University School of Nursing and from various healthcare providers who are willing to help us set up those wellness screenings and man those wellness screening stations on every campus. So we do temperatures, questions. We're going to put stickers on kids and stickers on families so that we know who's been screened or not. You can't come into the school without being screened, period. I'm not interested in our school nurses being involved in the screening process. The school nurses need to be free to do their job, and they also need to be free to deal with that kid that shows up with a temperature. Parents don't need to give their kid a Tylenol and send them to school under these circumstances. Face coverings will be required for all students, staff, and visitors. We're going to want those face coverings to be of one color, solid. They can also have school symbol, you know, an eagle on the side or whatever. Maybe we can let elementary kids have some elementary age-appropriate characters and maybe some printed material, but we're not going to go with slogans and messages and all that stuff on face masks. But they're an essential part of what you got to do. So parents, if you have concerns about kids wearing a face mask, you might want to choose the virtual option. We're going to do frequent sanitation of schools and classroom spaces, social distance to include forward-facing rows and elimination of flexible seating. We're also looking at plexiglass partitions for the early elementary age kids. I think we ordered 20 of those because we wanted to see what they look like. If we like them, we may order some more. There's going to be a reduction in the use of soft surfaces and center activities, which means kids getting on the floors and intermingling with each other on the floor in centers. Breakfast and lunch will be served in the classroom. Staff and student training we'll do staff and student training on best practices and self-care. We intend to have sanitizer everywhere, and we're going to be looking at how we use the restroom and how we wash hands and how we squirt the kids' hands and have them, use the alcohol-based products to keep their hands clean. Students report to homeroom first block to eliminate crowding. We're not going to allow kids to congregate in a common area before school or after school. Student transitions will be minimized to reduce cross-campus and cross-school contacts. For example, in upper elementary grades where we have departmentalization, instead of rotating kids from class to class, we'll rotate teachers from class to class. Okay. So those kinds of things. Assembly programs and field trips for right now will be suspended or eliminated. And we're going to restrict campus access to students, staff, and interns. Anybody else who wants to come to the campus, it has to be pre-arranged. We will do parent conferences through WebEx. If we need to have face-to-face, we'll have it by appointment only in the afternoons after school hours. Parent contact will be by phone or virtual means only. Anybody who comes in the building is going to be screened even after hours, and face masks will be required. Transportation, face mask coverings required for all students and drivers in buses. Buses will be loaded from the rear to the front, and then the unloading will be from the front to the rear. Buses will be sanitized between all trips, and students will be assigned seats and sit in family units. And any student, and I can tell you that this is going to happen. We are going to have faculty that test positive, and we are going to have students who test positive. And we hope and pray that they will have a mild case of it, and they will be able to quarantine, and they'll get better, and they'll come back to work, or they'll come back to school. Thus, the need for a leave policy for teachers and students that miss will have to make up their work, and we will have to get that work made up and get them caught up, because it is a 14-day quarantine. This is the one pager. This after tonight, unless you guys recommend some real changes in it, this is what we're going to put out and say, parents, please let us know and make a choice. If you're going to do the virtual, we've got to have a head count. Let me give you an example. If we got 60 third graders at Goshen Elementary and 30 of them sign up for online, virtual, then we're going to have 2 teachers teaching traditional blended at school, and we're going to have 2 teachers, because that's, if you got 60, you're going to need 4 classes, 15 in each class. You're going to have 2 teachers teaching the 2 classes with 15 in each class to the traditional blended kids, and you're going to have 2 teachers at work teaching the online virtual piece during the school day to the kids that are taking it virtually. Okay. We've still got a lot of work to figure out how all those schedules are going to put together. You can imagine how challenging this is going to be. So, we're going to start teachers back on the 12th, hopefully between the 12th and the 24th. We have ironed out all these schedules and so forth, because you got to, it's easier for the elementary grades, but when you start getting into the high schools where you have kids, taking Algebra 1 and biology, and some of them are online, some of them are traditional, it makes it much more challenging. But that's the plan right now. But we want to get this out and find out who it is that wants virtual. I will tell you that we did a survey, and we didn't get great participation. We had a sampling of about 300 that signed, that filled out the survey. 65% of that 300 said they wanted to go virtual. So if that's any indication of what it might look like system-wide, we could have as many as 1,000 kids virtual and 1,000 kids plus sitting in classrooms. Okay, I think that's why some of our school systems, especially those larger school systems, have just said we're going to do all virtual, and we may wind up there. We don't know what the next 2 weeks is going to bring. We know that the situation is not getting better. And as I said, I think the last time that we met, unless we do something to mitigate the spread, it's going to continue to be here. We can either mitigate it, hopefully maybe see the numbers come down, or we can expect more of the same, and until we get a vaccine or a treatment. And I suspect that in this room here, the last time we met, you probably didn't know somebody that was COVID positive. And I'd be willing to bet, since the last time we met, you probably know multiple people in our community that are COVID positive, and some have done pretty well, and some have been hospitalized. How successful we are in doing this is going to depend on more people than our employees. We've got to have the cooperation of parents and folks within the community, and I know there's anxiety out there. There's teachers right now. We got a resignation this afternoon. And I would be willing to bet the reason that we got the resignation this afternoon has a lot to do with this. And we might have more resignations before school starts. There's lots of anxiety out there. Nobody wants to come to school and get sick. So we've got to do the very best we can to do the things that we know will give us the best chance of not having it spread. Anybody have any questions? Comments? If we get in a situation where we get a much turn for the better, then we will adjust the safety considerations. The hot topic now is the mask deal. Well, right now it's a statewide executive order that pretty well guides what we do with regards to face masks. We got to wear it. And if something changes in regards to that, then we'll reconsider. But that's right now what I'm talking about is based on the executive order.
These are some of the questions I would ask. I keep telling them I don't have an answer. It's like away football games, if we play football. And with the rescheduling, especially Goshen down in Pike County, all of our games are 2 hours away. Every game other than we play the others is a 2 hour trip, 2.5 hour trip. Yeah. Football team's got to go. Cheerleaders and band. Do they go? Do they not go?
Yeah. I haven't got an answer to that one yet. I don't think anybody has an answer to that. I was listening to the radio on the way over here, and Paul Feinbaum was talking about college football, and they had gotten into high school sports, and they were mentioning, I don't remember if it's Georgia or somebody, Florida's already delayed their start date. Georgia just did the same thing. Well, that's going to impact a lot of schools that are on the Alabama-Georgia line that they cross over into Georgia to play football. So the same thing's happened with colleges. Pac-12 has already said they're not going to play any non-conference opponents.
A bunch of small conferences, which it all spring.
So, I don't have an answer to all that. I think we need to. I think our coaches and band directors need to proceed with getting ready with the guidance that we've given to them about how to practice and how to practice as safely as we can, and then we will see what the Alabama High School Athletic Association says. I would not be surprised to see the Alabama Association delay the start of the season. And I think all that will depend on the numbers, what the numbers do. Just about the time I see 3 or 4 days where we don't have any real numbers in Pike County, 1 or 2, and the next day I'd see we've got 9 or 11, which for a county our size, that's a big jump in 1 day.
What about some of them like the plastic face instead of this? Is that enough?
I would want to do more investigation into that. The plastic face mask, depending on how it's made, the shield, depending on how it's made, doesn't give you that full coverage up under. I know most places where I've seen plastic face shields being used, they were in conjunction with the mask too. The face shields by themselves, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen much of that. So. This is not something any of us want to do. It's not. And but we have to do everything we can to keep our folks safe. I was thinking about this last night. I just worked, I hate for a teacher to get sick or a student to get sick in school. Even though it's hard to pin down exactly where somebody got it at.
The next problem is going to be substitute teachers.
Substitute teachers, yeah.
Where you'll be those teachers, we're going to make a substitute.
We're going to Dr. Carter and the entire team, such what they've been working on looking at different kinds of scheduling, staggered this, and you know, where you have some kids come one day and some others come the other days. We haven't got to the final plan yet. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. First thing we got to do is get people to make a choice. That's what this is about. Once we get people to make a choice, we can do our planning. I would really like for us to meet on, I think we're scheduled to meet August 17th. If possible, I'd like to meet August the 10th, Monday, August the 10th, if that's okay. And what we want to bring to you on the 10th is the plan. We want to bring the plan. This is not the plan. This is just us to decide school opening. We want to bring a written plan to you on the 10th that will be more detailed. We've got meetings this week with bus drivers, custodians, teachers, parents. We're bringing in groups from stakeholders, and we want to hear what their concerns are and take those concerns into consideration. We're going to try to wrap up middle of next week a draft copy of the plan, and then be ready to present to you for approval on the 10th. And then teachers will start back on the 12th. That's our institute. I think I've mentioned to you, institute will be in 3 groups this year because we need to keep the size of the groups down. We'll have teachers on the 12th.
Elementary.
Pardon me?
Elementary.
Elementary on the 12th. On the 13th, we have high school, and then on the 14th, we will have support staff. So institute will be over 3 days, and while one group is in, the other group will begin professional development. That way we can keep the numbers down. We still plan on feeding them lunch and having a program each day, and try to get the school year kicked off right. But we want to have that plan approved on the 10th. We start on the 12th.
Will the 10th be a board meeting or just a
Board meeting. A board meeting. We would like to have a regular board meeting on the 10th. I'd like to have a regular board meeting on the 10th instead of the 12th for November. I think we have 2 scheduled for that month anyway. Right. So we usually have 2 in August, or is it 2?
2 in July.
Okay. Let's just shoot for the 10th, and then we'll see what happens later in the month of August if we need to come back. We may have to have some call meetings with this being a fluid situation like this. But the main thing is to get the plan approved on the 10th. We start school on the 12th. Kids come back on the 24th. New teacher training, new teacher orientation is the 11th and the 12th.
10th and 11th.
10th and 11th. 10th, 11th, new teacher orientation, new teacher training. And then on the 12th will be the first of 3 institutes at the Cattleman's building. Okay. But the number one thing that needs to come out of tonight as it relates to the COVID situation is that this document has been developed to help them look at, okay, this is what they're going to do at school to try to keep it safe. Do I want to send my kids to school? And if they're not, they need to go to this website and they need to register online for their kids to be virtual. Our assumption will be is that if you don't register online, that your child is coming to school the first day. If you have trouble registering online, you can call 566-1850, extension 110. Talk to Diana, and she will take your registration information at the office. So if you can't register online, that's the way to do it. But we have to know the deadline for doing that will be the 29th of July. And if we haven't heard from you through registration, our assumption is you'll be in school on that day. Okay. Any questions about school opening? Okay.
Item E is presentation of annual seclusion and restraint report.
I don't think that's just a presentation of that. It's a report that we're required to give to you each year, and it just needs to be on the agenda that you've received that report. So, okay.
Item M,
Any questions about the report? Okay.
Item F, approved budget amendment number 2, Dr. Mill.
Recommend it be approved.
You've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion?
Move.
Dr. Price, a second. Reverend Green. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, motion carries. Next, approved student parent device agreement, Dr. Mill.
Recommend it be approved.
You've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion?
Move.
Dr. Price, a second.
Second.
Dr. Foster. Any discussion?
Let me just say that there are going to be, our best guess is about a third of our students do not have a device at home. And so we've made an investment using the CARES money to make devices available. And you've got, in order to make it available, you've got to have a policy in place that governs the getting those devices out to kids and back and so forth. And that's what we're going to do tonight. And we're also going to, there's going to be a minimal fee for use of the device. And so we have the money to do that through the CARES Act. Late this afternoon, the governor is going to make available some additional CARES Act money, which we're going to, hopefully there'll be enough flexibility in the use of that money that we'll be able to bring internet to those areas. And we estimate about the same amount of students also do not have internet access. So hopefully that additional money will be able to do that. We're planning to make every bus a hotspot, that give each bus internet capable. And we believe, and Troy Cable has been very helpful with this. And our team up here has also done a very good job of mapping where those kids live that don't have internet. One of the things we had to find out is not just how many didn't have internet, but where did those kids live. And so we think that about a third of the kids that don't have internet, Stephanie, am I right? About a third of the kids that don't have internet live in a place where Troy Cable already serves that. In other words, all you got to do is get it from the pole to the house. So we're looking at a way to make that happen, and they've been very reasonable in the cost to make that happen. So we think we can solve about a third of our problem there, and then hopefully through hotspots and those other things, we can make internet available to every student. That's going to absolutely be essential for students who are going to who pick the virtual option. And it's going to be necessary for those, well actually it's going to be necessary for all of our kids going forward. And so we need to help get that figured out, whatever it takes. And we believe that, with the Troy Cable option and the hotspots for the buses and all that, we believe we're about half the cost of what we thought it was going to be, right, Stephanie, which we were estimating over $400,000. Right? Right?
I think so, yes.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure I had that right, because I'm not talking about money there. So anyway, that's what this is about.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, motion carries. Item H, approved policy, technology, and/or equipment for student use on policy 5.92, Dr. Zell.
Recommend it be approved.
You've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion? It is Steve. A second.
Second.
Dr. Foster. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, motion carries. Item I, approved policy, unsafe school choice options, policy 3.40.1, Dr. Zell.
Recommend it be approved.
You've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion? Mr. Wills. Second. Dr. Price. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes, motion carries. Item J, award bid for slush smoothie machine to Trident Beverage Incorporated for PCHS. Dr. Bill,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation, do I have a motion? Reverend Green. A second.
Second.
Dr. Foster. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carries. Item K, award bid for small wares to Local Fixture and Equipment Company Incorporated. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Steve? A second.
Second.
Dr. Foster? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item L, award bid for lawn maintenance to Triple E Fixing. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Dr. Foster? A second. Reverend Green? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item M, award bid for dumpsters to Mark Dunning Industries Incorporated. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks? A second. Reverend Green? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item N, award bid for propane to Feral Gas LP. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Steve? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item O, award bid for PCHS Gym Floor refinishing to Hughes Flooring Design. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have the motion? Reverend Green? A second.
Second.
Dr. Foster? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item P, award bid for re-roofing gym at PCHS to Old Sun South Construction Company. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved, and I'm gonna recommend this be approved retroactively to the date that we sent the letter notifying them they were awarded the bid. Recall, that was something that was going to happen while I was not here. We need to go ahead and get that started. You do need to approve it retroactively, whatever that date is. And
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Steve? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item Q, award bid for paving at PCES to Wiregrass Construction Company Incorporated. Dr. Zill,
same thing with this one. I recommend it be approved. It's retroactive to the date that they were notified that they had gotten the bid, so they can get started on that. So I recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Dr. Foster? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes?
Skip on.
Skip one.
But as you table R, no action.
Item S, approve request for Stephanie Snyder and Daniel Reeves to attend the ALET conference September 20th to 23rd, 2020 in Perdido Beach. Dr. Bill,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item T, approve request to employ 2 Troy University tutors for the 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Steed? A second.
Second.
Dr. Foster? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item U, approve request to hire 3 custodians to clean and sanitize during the summer school at Pike Elementary, Goshen Elementary, and Banks, retroactive 5/12/20. Dr. Zill,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks. A second. Reverend Green. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carries. Item D, approve request for Jody, Jeffcoat, and Holly Horn to work 7 additional days to prepare for the academy retroactive 5/12 of 20. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Steve? Second.
Second.
Dr. Foster? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item W, approve request for the 2 high school counselors to work 20 extra days retroactive 5/12 of 20. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks? A second.
Second.
Reverend Green? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item X, approve request to create and advertise a part-time position for an IT technician. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Dr. Price? A second. Reverend Green? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Approve request for Goshen Elementary to purchase 2 new copiers. Goshen Elementary will be responsible for the payments. Dr. Brazil,
Ms. Hornsby, do you request this?
Yes.
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Reverend Green? A second. Mr. Wilks? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item Z, approve or deny student transfer request per the attached spreadsheet. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Reverend Green? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. If you want to group all the
Group all the resignations, yeah, A through.
Okay.
Under H, personnel items A through J, except resignations. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend they all be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Reverend Green? A second.
Second.
Dr. Foster? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. You want to read all this through?
It's okay with me, it's okay with you guys.
Item K through JJ?
A through JJ.
A through JJ.
Yeah, just, I think, it's okay with me if it's okay with you guys, but it's a bunch of hierarchies, but the only one I want to call your chance to is the STEM teacher, EE, and the band director, item B. Those are retroactive to June 1st and June 22nd. But I would recommend all those, the appointment of all of those.
K through JJ.
K through JJ.
Yeah.
All right.
You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Reverend Green? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item KK, approve volunteer position transfers for Sherry Evans and Sydney Reeves. Dr. Brazil,
Recommend it be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks? A second. Dr. Price? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Under additional items, 7AA, new business approval, deny additional student transfer request per the attached spreadsheet. Dr. Zill,
Recommended be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Foster, a second. Mr. Wilks, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. 8, personnel, LL, approved summer school teachers from Pike Elementary, Goshen Elementary, and Banks, retroactive 7/6 of 2020. Dr. Zill,
Recommended be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Dr. Price, a second. Reverend Green, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries. Item MM, accept retirement resignation of Rosalind Pollard, second grade teacher, Pike Elementary. Dr. Zill,
Recommended be approved.
you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilks, a second. Dr. Price, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries.
Before we do need to go into executive session for a few minutes, but under 9, I do want to do one more thing. I should probably under communications. Throughout the course of the summer, we've had some additional opportunities that have come our way related to some career tech kinds of things, and I wanted Mr. McClure to very quickly share a couple of those things so that you'll know that they're going on and read about them in the newspaper or hear about them, you should be informed. So, Mr. McClure, real quick, share a few of those things.
Okay. Some of these are brand new and some of these are existing programs that had some changes take place. One is a building trades program. We've been trying for the past year or so to get a construction program, and this is technically going to be an ag construction. That'll be the technical program that it falls under, what we're going to call our building trades. We've been, Whaley Construction and the Alabama General Contractors Association have both been instrumental in helping us get this program. Over the course of the 2020-21 school year, the courses have been focused on site prep and foundation, and then in the spring on framing. Second program, we already have welding, but we have created a partnership with Wallace State Community College where this can now be a dual enrollment program, and the students can earn those credentials while they're still in high school. Both of those programs, building trades and welding, have been included in a grant that we've written for to help offer those programs in the evening to adult learners. So any industry that wanted to have employees continue their education, that would be available to them. We also have medical assisting coming that is going to be integrated with our existing health sciences program at Fort Pike Center for Technology. We are changing our MSSC, which is Manufacturing Safety Standards Council program, to Manufacturing Technologies, and that includes 4 certifications, one in safety, quality practices, manufacturing, production and processes, and maintenance awareness. Each of those certifications articulates to 3 college credit hours. So if a student were to complete all 4 certifications, they could walk away with 12 articulated college credits. We have our mechatronics program, which is a new short-term certificate program in cooperation with Enterprise State. And we also have a paralegal certificate program, which is a complement to the paralegal academy program that we have. That's hot with us. And new associate degree programs that we've talked about recently, our Teacher Academy, International Studies Academy, the mechatronics, which is the associate degree version of what I just mentioned. And then Ford University has brought 2 opportunities to us. One is the Academy of Military Science that didn't make for last year. We've been put in contact with Air Force ROTC program there, and we're beginning to cultivate a possibility of program of study there. And finally, 3D printing program. The university has also contacted us about that, about having students get into that program and become proficient in 3D printing.
And teacher academy, right?
Yes.
Teacher academy. Which is the one that has the scuba diving.
Scuba diving is an option for our STEM academy. We have a free elective, and scuba diving is applied physics underwater. So, and it happens also.
We'll have kids sign up for that, I'm sure. Next thing, we'll have a shark injury. Yeah. Okay, thank you. We do need to go into executive session, discuss a variety of, one has to do with land, one has to do with pending legal matters.
You heard the recommendation, do I have a motion?
Move.
Dr. Foster, second.
Second.
Mr. Reverend Green. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Pike County Board of Education is now in executive session.
Just before you leave out of here, I know your air conditioner really well.
You turned that?
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, my knee, it hurt me so bad.
Doing a great job from Panama City for Kyle. Ozark, Alabama, how are y'all doing today? One more time, Kane and the Saints, y'all, they were amazing. First time I've been to this festival, we're excited to be here. We appreciate y'all having us. Let's have us a good time. Got a bunch of originals, some cover music. Let's have us a good old time. What do y'all say?